Hi everyone, Joe March here, also known as Sorcerer, and today I'm going to react to some videos on the Astral Plane, but this idea for a video actually came from my viewers who asked some questions about the Astral Plane, and I want to get into that first. So in my last video I made a reference to the fact that when I'm in the Astral Plane, I am a different person than I am here, and that got some questions. People were like, oh, can you teach me how to go into the Astral Plane and things like that, and I felt like I needed to define what I mean when I say Astral Plane, because it's probably not what people traditionally think of as the astral plane. From my point of view, the formless world, that which doesn't have physicality, is the astral world. That's how I use the terminology. And accessing that formless world is done through the subconscious by using symbols, symbology, images, metaphor, etc. So when I talk about the astral plane, I could be talking about an experience where I go into a meditation and go and see things that I wouldn't experience here, but I could also be talking about when you go through the process of writing literature and creating a fiction, or I could also be talking about whenever you get into the headspace of understanding certain concepts that don't have physicality involved in them. But there is this usage that I use for it most of the time when I say something like, I'm a different person there, where I'm usually talking about the practice of going into a meditative state where you experience sort of visions or ideas, or what some people in the New Age call downloads, or where you would talk to guides or entities or things like that. In other words, it's a sort of active imagination exercise, to use like the Jungian terms, but without you taking control of the steering wheel. You don't guide the direction of where your imagination is going. You just let what's happening come to you. You experience something, you open yourself up to an experience, and then have these experiences happen. And a lot of people ask me, how do you get into these states? And for me, I've kind of gotten used to like almost flipping on and off, being in and out of that state. So I don't really have a thing I do to do it anymore. I can kind of go into it given that I'm alone at some point. I can do it while walking if I'm by myself. I can do it in meditation. I can do it a lot of different ways. But to get to the point where I understood how to flip into that state where I'm just kind of accepting what comes and communicating between the conscious and subconscious mind took a lot of effort. It took a long time trying a whole bunch of stuff. So I don't really have a way to say, this is how you do it. It's more like, try a bunch of stuff that's supposed to work. But my advice is, stop thinking about the astral plane like it's a place that you can go to. It's not a place. It's not like a solid thing. If it was physical, it'd be here. This is the physical world. It's non-physical, and you're interpreting what's coming to you through your own mind. So in other words, the visuals people talk about when they experience the astral plane is imagination, but it's imagination covering over these concepts. In other words, like if you want to talk to love, you might talk to a goddess of love because you need to personify it in order to have a conversation. But the thing behind it all, though, is non-physical, and you are also non-physical in that moment. You are recognizing, at least you do after a certain point, that this physical body and this character that you think you are is a character, and that you put that on, that you are not any of this. And so when you're there, you're something different. Now, for me, when I'm there, anytime I go into that state, I have a whole different physical look, like the persona that I take on is another different character, and that just happens automatically, and it's like a greater character. It's like a representation of the higher self that I am, but that still is a character. It's like characters upon characters all the way down. I think I've talked about that before. So maybe this is a lot to throw all at once in a big ramble, but to me, the astral plane is not a place. It's a state of mind where you are experiencing the formless but giving it form in order to experience it. So now let's see what other people say about the astral plane.
This is going to sound really weird and sketchy for a lot of you, but about a month ago.
You know what? I love the way that started. This is going to sound weird and sketchy. That's how I felt when I started talking about this stuff, and it's still how I feel if I talk about some of the deeper things that I experience, like this very topic. I don't like talking about what I look like in the astral plane to myself, or what all the hierarchy of beings are to me, because I know when I read it back in my journal, I sound like a crazy person. So I keep a lot of that to myself, and I keep a lot of what they say to myself, because I know a lot of it is just about me and what I'm supposed to be learning and doing here and now. And I use the word supposed to very loosely, because I understand also that what I'm really experiencing is myself teaching myself, but like this greater me, it's like the human meat brain is getting information from the real me to change who you are here. And so I would say, if you're going to do these practices, if you're doing anything, whether it's creative writing or whether it's going into a meditative trance or whether it's having visions and talking to things, if the end result is that it's making you think in a new way and it's giving you ideas and shifting the way that you head as a person in a way that you wouldn't have just by going through your normal day, then you're doing it right.
I called in someone to teach me how to astral travel, and really quickly I realized that this teacher is my star brother, the one that I feel really, really, really close with. And he started teaching me about a month and a half ago how to astral travel, and he would come in my astral plane and he would allow me to touch his hand and the back of his back and his head, which doesn't feel like a regular human, of course. It felt like, yeah, you could call it alien, I guess. But
I always have to remind myself that we all have a different mental lexicon when it comes to what we would see. Because again, the astral plane is non-physical, and what you're experiencing when you see it is what works as a metaphor and a symbol for you. So for me, my stuff is very like old gods, old world, fantasy-inspired, D&D-esque looking, because that's the type of stuff that I've filled my brain with over the years. I enjoy that type of stuff, and so that's how it comes to me. And so when I hear people talk about the gods and things like that, I'm just like, oh yeah, and I'm on board. And then I'll hear people say the exact same thing, but use alien, and I'll be like, this person believes in aliens are talking to them, but it's the same thing. You just have they don't have the same brain that I'm working with in this character, in this me, who sees things through this fantasy aspect, whose romantic language is fantasy. Like, and I don't mean fantasy like Wooloo, I mean fantasy like traditional epic fantasy. Like, I like things in that style, so that's the style that my brain's symbols come in as. So for me, it's going to be gods, it's going to be weird sceneries, weird experiences, strange creatures, and things like that. For someone who's maybe very much tied into the macabre, it might come in as the dead, like ghosts and undead and vampires and things like that will appear to you as your mentors and things, because it's whatever your brain respects and can put into these roles that would better represent what's coming to you. But remember, it's a representation. The real thing behind it is non-physical. And so I have to remember, because they'll say stuff and I'll be like, man, that sounds exactly like mine, except they put these woo-woo aliens in front of it. And I have to remind myself, my shit is just as woo-woo. Having it be a god or like a fantasy zone or something is still just my wrapper around what I'm talking to.
But last night I did another astral travel, and I was so amazed with how much I've learned in the last month and a half, because before I couldn't hold it, and he was teaching me how to hold it and how to stay in it. And then last night I felt like I was really holding my field very stable. All I will tell you that connecting with your star family is far beyond what you could imagine. And I feel like a lot of people are connecting with their star families just because they want to disconnect from the earth. But actually, for me at least, my star family have been really teaching me so much about life on earth. And the reason why I even reconnected to them in the first place was to learn about ROM technology. That is the modality that I'm birthing into this world, in this lifetime. So if you're someone who are feeling interested in connecting to your origins, so they can share with you about your purpose and what you came here for, whether if you're feeling called to step into service or you're feeling drawn to energy weaving, comment weaving below, or if you just want to experience that for yourself, let me know in the comments.
And this is, from my point of view, and no shade thrown, this is someone who is new to these experiences, and she even said she's new to these experiences. And this is kind of how it comes across at first. Everything feels all important. Everything feels like you're rejoining some family you've lost. And what will be interesting in the future for someone like this, spoiler alert, is when they find out how many of these family members are part of themselves, that they have not yet accepted as part of themselves, coming back to them and starting that integration work. A lot of it is shadow work. And people don't love to hear that because people want to think they're going to go in the astral plane, they're going to have a great time, they're going to fly around and go to other places and see other things and do other things. But a lot of what you're going to do is reintegrate with yourself. You're going to find out the greater you's longer term issues and have to rectify them and find peace with them in the now. You're accepting taking on into yourself more work by going and doing this, not less.
There is not the one astral plane, as is often assumed, but an infinite number of them. They exist parallel to our physical plane, and through the astral body we can explore these planes. Each of these planes has...
And the astral body is an interesting thing too. So there are, remember, this is my opinions, because some people have other experiences than me. But my experience, the astral body is also a representation, and a lot of people who follow the traditional astral plane concept will have this spirit body and this tether back to their real body and all of this stuff. But I'm here to tell you that if that's not what you prescribe to and you still do these practices, you'll have a different body than that. You'll have whatever works for your lexicon, because it's an illusion. And it's not an illusion in the sense that it's a falsehood. It's an illusion in the sense that it's a representation. That what you're experiencing in those moments is a representation of what's really happening, because our human brain can't handle what's really happening. The real us is experiencing the real thing, but only this interpretation of it gets stored in this meat brain. So you, on a deep level, will understand it, and you'll come back with this greater understanding that you feel in your chest and in your body that doesn't quite translate up here. And that's because you're starting to recognize from doing these practices that you don't actually exist up here. That this is part of this kind of meat suit, this avatar that you pilot around in real life. And the real you is bigger than that.
Has a unique vibration and is thought sensitive. This means that a thought is enough to cause an action. The astral planes are divided into 3 main planes: the lower, middle, and higher astral planes. The lower planes have a low vibration and are very form-based, while the higher planes have a high vibration and become formless. And the plane on which you experience astral travel is determined by the vibration of your astral body.
I spent a lot of time when I was new to this stuff trying to chase this vibration concept, where they'll be like, wait till you're almost asleep, feel this feeling, when you get these tingles, like dive into it and all this stuff. And I was starting to experience these things, but I didn't recognize them as what they were. I would have these very strange lucid dream type experiences that would start and then vanish, or that would kick an idea in my head and then get me thinking, and I'd be like, oh no, now I'm thinking again instead of traveling. The thinking is the point. Not getting caught up in your here and now thoughts, but to get this other information. I was so fixated on going out of my physical body into a space that existed that I was missing the actual travel. I was missing the actual experience. And so that's why after seeing some questions about it, I was like, I need to come out and explain what I mean by it, and then do this so that we can talk about, like, yeah, I think a lot of these places that talk about this all talk about it from their lexicon, and they don't recognize that that's what it is. They all talk about it from their own symbolic representation and what they use to get out, but that's what's right for their brain and for their experience. That's not necessarily how it works for the rest of us. And when you finally start to key in to what makes you different than other people and how things work different for you, you'll start to, and you just accept that instead of having to force it into a box that someone else made, you'll start to have these experiences more naturally.
Why do 70% of astral travelers never attempt it again? They've seen something horrifying.
Where is that statistic from? Is there a poll that I'm not aware of for people who've astral traveled, whether they tried it once and never tried it again? Let me know in the comments below.
Let's dive into their chilling secret. In the astral plane, there's something called the silver cord, a fragile thread connecting your soul to your body.
Sure.
Some say
if that's what you
demon
believe
lurks, waiting to sever that cord. Break it, and you can never return. People who experience astral projection often see their body from above, paralyzed and vulnerable.
Now, I don't have that experience. I know people who have, And I've had one time where I actually felt like I fell out and down out of my body, but I don't see my body. I don't see physical spaces around. I don't have the experience that someone who has remote viewing would have, where you can go somewhere in the physical world while in the astral. I don't experience any of that. Now, if you do, I'm interested in that stuff, but it's just not a talent I have. And I don't know if it's real, and I don't know if it's something else, like more of an intuition or a connecting to this greater interconnected all of us to be able to intuit something. Like, I don't know what that is because I don't experience it. So is it real? Is it something different? How does it really work? These are things I'm always interested in, but since I can't do it, I don't have answers on that.
But those who've encountered the demon describe feeling the cord tighten, hearing a low growl, and then it snaps. Trapped in the astral world, they watch.
Now, we talked about how the things you see are representations, right? So think about this for a second. Just you go in there and you suddenly start to be afraid that something is going to happen and that you're going to get stuck there. And then that appears to you as a demon and you start to see your cord separate. This is you experiencing that fear that you came up with when you entered here. You're giving it form, and that's why it's there. So if you enter into these states with something fearful you need to face, it's going to show up like a demon or a devil or whatever your lexicon's version of that is. And you have shown up there to face that in one way or another, or to correct it. This is why magic is so useful, because it gives you a set of principles on how to do it. It'll say, like, put a circle down, command this and that, and it gives you this idea that you have authority while in that space. And because you believe that, you're less likely to have this fearful experience. You're more likely to actually engage with the demon or whatever. But in reality, anyone can do it. You don't need magical practices. You just need confidence. So the magic is just there to help you believe that you are able to face this.
Helplessly as their body falls into a coma, or worse, death.
Well, okay.
So next time you try to leave,
I mean, citation needed on how many people have tried astral travel and then died. I have not seen this statistic anywhere.
your body, remember, once the silver cord is broken, you're lost forever. Are you willing to?
I mean, didn't he just say that people, like I say he, like it's not an AI, didn't he just say that people experience seeing the cord separate in the earlier part? How would you know that if it made it so you couldn't come back? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Take that risk. Why do 70% of astral travelers
Ridiculous.
Is astral projection dangerous? Well, if you're not prepared for it, let's talk about it in this video. First off, we are souls that come from the astral and temporarily inhabit a physical body.
Agreed.
So we get accustomed to the physical world. Because of this, we forget how to navigate the astral.
True.
Some spirits in the astral are not nice. Sometimes there will be spirits that will hide their true intentions or even their true form to try and get something out of it.
And this is fair. I am sitting here talking to you as if you will only encounter yourself and what you bring there. That's not true. Because on a higher level, we're all connected. We're all one if you get far enough out. And if if you were talking about, like, what is it, upper, middle, lower astral plane, I don't think of it that way. But if you think of it like the higher you go, the closer you get to oneness, then the higher you go, also the more you're going to interact with people that aren't the one piloting this suit. I mean, it is still the same one, but it kind of funnels down on its way down. So you can interact with other things that aren't you in this experience as well. So, use the same type of caution you would have when dealing with people. Do I trust this person? Do I want to talk to this person? I should be respectful because I don't know who this is, but also, I should feel empowered to be like, hey man, I don't, get out of my space, things like that. And you do have control to keep yourself safe as long as you remember you do, because you have to invite anything in to speak to you that you're going to. It's not that they can't speak to you without the invitation, it's that you can always disinvite something. As long as you remember that, you're pretty okay.
The best advice is to take any encounter you are not 100% sure of as if you are entering a sketchy bar,
Yeah.
meeting a really creepy stranger.
Yeah, that's right.
Some advice to take
I would just say stranger, because sometimes it can be a creepy stranger, sometimes it's not.
to be safe within the astral: if you use confidence and tell a spirit to buzz off, they most likely...
This is what I'm talking about. He's getting a thumbs up, man. This is some real advice. Now, I assume he sees it more as spirits, and I see it more as this formless whatever, but we are experiencing the same thing, obviously, and talking about the same thing.
will. If some keep pestering you, you can conjure and call upon the power of your higher self, of God, of spirit, whatever you feel, to ask for protection and get help. And if you're completely unsure and feel completely unsafe, is astral projection...
I like it, just like stop there. If you're completely unsure, we cut that off. That wasn't important. Nah, but that was all good. I like that one.
In this short video, I just want to point out one of the biggest differences in how consciousness operates in the astral bodies from the low astral realm to the higher up astral plane structure, like the 4th or 5th levels. So in the 1st and 2nd levels of the astral...
Now notice, I don't have any levels to my version of this. I do have this, like... So I wouldn't call, when you're connected to everything that is, I wouldn't call that the astral. I think of that as like another plane beyond that, whereas the astral is kind of in between. And I see the astral as being full of a whole bunch of different experiences you can have, and a whole bunch of different places people hang out, so to speak. But I don't see them as like a hierarchy, the way that the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, low, middle, high person did when they were explaining that. I mean, I think that was an AI, but whatever. But then you have people who believe in that different layers, like you're more physical here, you're less physical, etc. They call that all the astral plane. And then you have this guy who's talking about the lower astral plane and the 4th and 5th astral plane and this and that. And what you should notice from this, don't get confused. Don't be like, oh man, it's way more complicated. No, it's less complicated. What you should notice is that everybody has their own way of mapping this out, and they don't match. And it isn't that they don't match because they're making it up or it's wrong. It's they don't match because their interpretation of what they're experiencing is different. Because again, it's all metaphor. So you're experiencing a formless world, you're giving it form. If for you, you need to differentiate between when you're closer to this world and when you're more connected with the all, then you might create this separation there. If you need a lower astral plane where like certain entities live and an upper where other entities live, because that helps you to figure out how to communicate with your lower, more instinctual self versus your higher senses, then it will form itself that way for you. This is all based on how you are able to interpret what you're doing, but I wouldn't actually say that it is an up-down hierarchy. It is just a way for you to map out different locations.
Planes, when you have OBEs and astral project to those levels in the low astral, you'll see that about half of the beings that are centered there, having that existence, are kind of in a half awake, half asleep conscious state. Now, compared to astral projecting to the 4th or 5th levels of the astral plane structure, you'll notice that consciousness is more centered on self-manifestation, on building their own realities, or sometimes duplicating the reality they had in their physical life.
Yeah, and so he's using it as a way to differentiate between whether he's going to communicate with that which is asleep or that which is wider awake, etc. But that is for him. That is how he will experience the astral plane. And this is part of what makes it so difficult to talk about this subject at all.
You may have heard me talk about different planes of existence and wondered what the hell is he on about. So I'm going to try and explain it for you today. So we've got this physical plane of existence, and the physical plane of existence, everything vibrates and it appears physical. And the vibrational rate is quite slow, which is why it appears gross. But the next plane beyond the physical plane is called the astral plane, and that moves a little bit quicker, which is why we can't see it. The plane beyond that is called the mental plane, and that moves even quicker. And essentially there are more and more planes beyond that, which are exactly the same as here and now, except they're not physical, they appear in light form because everything is vibrating at a much faster frequency, which is why we don't have a body.
And I used to believe this same type of thing, which is not really how I view it anymore, but it will help you get there and have the experience to look at it this way. And so I don't have a problem with people who are in the stage of still looking at it this way at all. I don't even necessarily see that as a lower stage than where I'm at now. I just have experienced things that made me go, oh, okay, these are all representations of what's going on, but not the actuality of what's going on. And as a result, I'm able to let go of needing that framework, but I don't believe I would have had as easy a time getting in if I didn't have that framework to begin with. So it's okay to take on whatever framework works for you. And I think that's important to say. It's part of why I don't do a lot of videos talking about the stuff I do now, because a lot of what I do now I feel like would demystify stuff for people. They'd be like, oh, you're just saying it's just this, or oh, you're saying I shouldn't do all these other practices. And it's like, well, no, doing the practices and experiencing whatever a certain culture had come up with in order to do these practices helps you to see them in a different way. And then if you experience it a different way through another culture or another person's ideas and get a similar experience, you can start to piece things together that you wouldn't have realized if you'd only tried one method. And so what I actually recommend is trying a bunch of methods. Like, dive in, see what works for you. That's the actual advice that I would give somebody.
In those other planes, not a physical body at least. We have a body that is associated with each of those different planes of existence. So when we expand our consciousness in meditation, sometimes we are able to access these planes by virtue of the fact that we've increased our vibrational frequency.
It's important to note too that, you know how I like to call this body a character, because we're actually something more, experiencing this character, and we give ourselves sort of a narrative of who we are, and all of that is illusory. Also, that next level up, when you're in the astral plane, that's a character, and the level before that is a character, etc., 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 all the way back until you're the all, or the eternity, or the one. So it's characters upon characters upon characters. But we like to experience being a character. It's not bad to experience being a character. It's kind of the point.
To such a degree that we can then access these various different planes.
You are not just a body. You are a being in ascent. First, the ego dissolves. Then comes the astral plane, where symbols breathe and dreams take form.
Right.
Beyond that, the causal plane, the realm of divine patterns and purpose. Higher still, the atmic plane, pure will untouched by time. And beyond all planes, the absolute, formless, infinite, beyond thought.
I mean, this pretty much matches the way that I experience it. But again, I think that's because that's how I specifically categorize it.
This path isn't fiction. It's a map your soul
Why is this
already
so
knows.
loud?
You are not just a body. You are a being.
He's like, pay attention to me.
Demonic entities, negative entities, and evil things like that, which can come in very different forms. You know, they could be, for example, in the form of a really attractive female. They could be in the form of, you know, an animal. For most
Why can't they be an attractive male? I don't understand.
people, you won't really experience those. They kind of are attracted mainly to people who have very much a fear-based energy or vibration. Or if you go into the astral realm and you're terrified and you're thinking about all the bad things that could happen, they will kind of be attracted to that. So that is why I've always said to completely relax and practice positive thinking and making sure that you only try and astral project if you are sure you want to do it, you're confident that you are vibrating at a high level and you're positive, your intentions are pure, and you know how to do it. And in that sense, you
can see from this too that, like, he has a different overall view of how this all works than I do, but the advice is the same. And this is what I'm talking about we all have our own way of understanding this thing, our own dressing to put around it that gets us there. And you got to find the one that works for you, and then just accept it. You can't nitpick like, wait, this is only mine, so it's not actually how. Just find what works and go with it. And then later you can like unwrap the dressing a little, but at first just find what works for you. And again, confidence. Remember that ultimately you're in control and can push things away if you need to. And then otherwise, engage with what you engage with and see it as new challenges to face. Now, I am, again, of the type of mindset where I don't battle something. Like, I don't fight against what I would consider to be a demon. I try to integrate things. But that's also me. That's my journey. My journey is one of the shadow work and finding the different parts of the self and integrating them back in and learning to love yourself and things like that. You might be going there for something different. And so just be aware, not everybody is going there for the same purposes. Not everybody has the same experiences.
Ever wondered about astral projection? Yes, the mystical journey of the soul outside the body.
I'm sure the AI knows how to do it.
Here's a simple guide for beginners to embark on this ethereal voyage. Step
This
1,
AI
find a
experiences
serene
this so
spot.
much.
Tranquility is key. Step 2, lie down, eyes shut, body relaxed. Imagine a cord connecting your physical and astral selves. Step 3, focus on your breathing. Deep rhythmic breaths. Step 4, visualize your astral self rising, gently pulling away from your physical self. Step 5, embrace the sensation of floating, of detachment. Remember, patience is your ally. Practice and the cosmos will open its arms. And there you have it, your beginner's guide to astral projection. Safe travel.
I mean, on safe travels, that's my thing. All right, the AI's stealing my thing now. Anyway, that's honestly not a bad, simple version of like one method. So that's fair. He says safe travel. Let's see if he says it better than me.
Projection. Safe travels, cosmic explorers.
I should add cosmic explorers. I'm learning from this AI.
Yes, you can leave your body and experience higher dimensions. Here's how. To start, prop your head up on a pillow and lay down with your arms and legs spread apart. You don't want anything touching. Then take slow, deep breaths until you feel your energy body. You're trying to let your physical body fall asleep while you keep your mind and energy body awake. After about 15 to 20 minutes.
Now, true, this will work. But I think I always got stuck up on this as like, oh, you have to do it this way. The reason you have your arms and legs spread apart here is so that you're not distracted by the sensation of feeling. It would be even more helpful if you were in like a tank of water or something, like one of those things where you just can't feel anything around you. You're just trying, he's trying to simulate that here. Deep meditation can do the same thing regardless of which way your body is facing. So I replaced that with deep meditation, but that's the point of that thing. And then this talk about trying to get your body to fall asleep while your mind stays awake. I feel like that's where I got caught up all the time in doing this wrong for the longest time. It's more about dropping mind. We talk about this in meditation all the time. You got to let go of your thinking mind. Now, a lot of people will hear that and think, I can't think at all. That's not what it means. And it took me a long time to get past as well. If you have a stray thought, that's fine. I think I heard someone once say, take that thought and imagine sending it down the river and let it go. That's more the idea, is these thoughts that invade your senses about what's coming up later, what we're going to have for dinner, did I say the right thing to the right person back here, whatever, they kind of jumble up and get in your way of the experience, and you just have to take them all and go, shh, be quiet. And send them off and know that they will come back later when you need them. You do not need them right now. You're concentrating on something else. But your thoughts about what's happening here and now, those are fine to stay. Dropping mind and dropping thoughts is not about dropping all thinking. It's about dropping the chatter. And that's why he's talking about getting into that state where you're basically asleep. Because a lot of people are so distracted all the time now. You don't know how to drop thinking and not do, because that's what you got to do. Drop thinking, do nothing, and then let what comes to you come to you, and then experience that. And if you're like me, you may even write it while you're doing it. I can write what I'm experiencing, and that's where my journal gets filled up. But these things, these images will come to you, these experiences, these ideas will come to you that are not like thoughts. They feel like they're from a deeper level, and then if you do it for long enough, they'll start to envelop your entire vision as if you're in another place. You'll feel like a different person. You'll experience the things, etc., etc. You don't have to be almost asleep. But when you're trying to figure out what this state feels like, because again, once you've done it a few times, you kind of know how to just get yourself there. And I don't know how to explain it other than that. But it does kind of feel like being on that border between awake and asleep, like when you daydreamed in class when you were in school. If you ever sat there in class listening to a boring-ass lecture and felt yourself stop listening to that and stop thinking about other stuff and just kind of like blank out and start to like go somewhere else, That's it. That's the thing that they're trying to get you toward. If you've ever been listening to music in the car while driving and then you realize my body has been piloting this car and I have been somewhere else, that's it. That's the state. That's what you're trying to get to.
You'll start to feel tingling. This means you're going into the vibration phase. Once you feel intense vibrations all over your body or you hear a loud ringing noise, you have to pull your energy upwards. I do this by visualizing lifting my hand or my foot without actually moving my body. When you have no fear and are completely ready for this experience, you will pop out of your body. Just know this is a very intense experience, and the first time I tried doing this, I felt like I was dying. And before you do this, you should be 100% mentally stable and grounded. Don't try doing this right before you go to sleep because your mind is usually tired. You want your mind awake, so the best time to try is right when you wake up. It does take practice, and you will experience things beyond words. Safe travels.
Safe travels! I like how everybody is using this now. It's because we all had the same idea that would be a funny way to end things. Yeah, it is true, and this is kind of how I experienced it the first time as well. I think this is the common way to do it the first time, and yeah, I mean, if you get it to work, you will experience things that are like beyond words, just like you said. But I feel like this method is like what do you call it? Like a random number generator version. You're like, I'm going to lay down and put all this effort in and then roll the dice. And if they come up 6, then I'm going to pop out of my body. But if they don't, then I'm going to just have to try again tomorrow. It really doesn't consistently get you there. But maybe it is the way everybody's first time has to happen. Just like practice till you get there. But remember, the biggest hurdle, at least for me, was myself getting in my own way and thinking what I was starting to experience was not it. Thinking I was distracted and starting to daydream instead of like let's focus up and stay here to do the astral projection. It's like, no, you were starting to, you dumbass. Like it doesn't always feel like a pop and you're out the way he describes. It can and sometimes does, especially if there's a message that you need to hear. And that's another thing is, if you're doing this consistently, it feels more dull, just like anything else. If you're doing it like the first time or like during some need or whatever, it may feel more intense, and different people will feel it at different amounts. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed our talking about astral travel and are watching some AI and non-AI fun along the way. And until next time, safe travel, cosmic explorers.